Good morning, welcome to my channel, Becoming Bev. I'm here today with Don Noone from Vantasia Vans, and Don invited me to do a tour of his van, Pirates of the Caravan. I can't wait to show you this van. So Don, give me some details about the van.
1976 Ford, one-ton van. I bought it from Mel Schlaball 15 years ago. Mel had had the van in the garage for 18 years and hadn't been pulled out. It called the Jolly Roger. It had the interior that's in it now, other than the stuff that I've added and stuff that I just had to redo. It's oak floor and all the sides is all done in walnut wood.
The interior in this van is insane. Basics were like it is now.
80 to 85% of it is still the same. The upholstery I redid the seats, added more wood to it. Some of the wood had just kind of deteriorated just from sitting. I made wood armrest, put a lot better stereo, and now we have LED lighting and stuff they didn't have that back in the 70s and 80s, so I added all that stuff.
Don totally took this van up to the whole nother level.
John Nichols did this side.
All right, will you point out the gold tooth again, Donnie? So
yeah, that's real gold in there and in here. And then there's some on the hood.
Okay.
This is done with acid, which is smooth instead of sandblast, where sandblast is a little rough. But this is done with, that's etched with an acid etch.
Okay.
Then they took an engraver, engraved and did the highlights.
Wow. There are so many awesome details.
And if you know water and paint don't mix, if you'll see these little bubbles like that right in there, when they were painting, they would spray a little spray bottle, and that's how they made that effect. And all these scenes are scenes from the movie. Like you can say back here, same way on the skulls, those little bubbles.
The detail is just incredible.
And the eyes, and they follow you.
Whoa.
And recently I just added these deals that go in the windows and they light up. I added these here.
Those are your tail lights?
The tail lights was in there, but I've added the metal swords.
Okay.
Added the wood around the hinges and had Scott pinstripe it. I don't know if you noticed the trailer hitch, the receiver, it's got a wood grain in it. I did that when I first got it. I painted that. This was the guy that did the paint on the back. That was his signature there. And then when I first showed it, I didn't show it with the back doors open because I like this mural. So, but I redid the back area. But you'll have to, I had the tire there before, and then added these wood strips and they light up at night.
Amazing. They light up.
Yep. Yeah, there's lights behind the blue eyes.
Wow. There are so many details to this van. It just blows me away. This is pretty amazing. Tell me about this, Don.
Yeah, I had a guy who did the upholstery. I asked him, I said, can you do a pirate? Put it in there, and then I added the fish aquariums in the back. The instrument cluster was pretty bad, and so I took the instrument cluster, sent it to Dakota Digital. They put it all together, and then I had Scott paint that treasure map in the background. I put a tilt steering wheel in it. I originally cut the holes in the engine cover so that the people could see the motor, but an LS motor is not that pretty. So I put tinted glass in there, and then I put lights in between the two glass. So it's really thick glass because I didn't want the heat from the motor coming in on your feet. Then I did these, and I also took the patina copper and put in here.
Oh, wow.
I had carpet in there, and just getting in and out, it just, makes it, has a wear and tear on it.
Yeah, the patina is really pretty in there, Donnie.
I took and painted all the holes in here blue.
This is one of those, like, just when I think you couldn't possibly find anything else to do to the van, you find something else.
Showed you these on the video at night.
Yep.
How they go to sound.
Yep.
And light up. Built the battery boxes, had them polished out real good. I have 3 batteries, 2 up front and then one underneath the frame.
Even the engine details are insane.
The only thing that's not painted on the van is this. These are done in a wrap, and the only reason I did that is just because of the heat underneath the engine.
Yeah.
Figured they'd hold up a little better. Had a lot of stuff chromed. Got aluminum radiator. These open, little place for store stuff. Seats, they turn. All the vents I took out and painted so that it's like a root beer marble look. I built these. It's got a CB, so we can talk going down the road to anybody else that's got CBs. Door straps are painted and pinstriped in that marble.
So Don, will you share the story that you shared with me last night about basically how you acquired the van?
Yes, I belong to Vantasia Vans, and we've been putting on our van in since 1977, Spring Fever. And it was our 30th truck in, and I hadn't heard from Mel in 18 years. Didn't know if he was still around or what. But I reached out to a few people and I got his phone number and I called him and I said, hey, I'd really like to bring the Jolly Roger out for our 30th. And he told me that it had been sitting in the garage for 18 years and that his wife had passed and he'd just lost interest. He asked me, he said, it's crazy that I called him because he was thinking about trying to get a hold of me to see if I'd want to buy it. So I said, what do you want for it? And he told me, and I says, I'll be up this weekend. He said, well, all the tires are flat. It hadn't ran. So when I got there, we aired up the tires and got it up on the trailer. A cat had knocked a gallon of the lacquer thinner down off a shelf and landed on the hood of the van and ate the paint up on the hood, and which was all immaterial stuff that, So I got it back to Kansas City. First thing I wanted to do was get it running. So I took it to Kansas Battery, local mechanic shop, does all my work that I can't do myself. And they got it running, got new tires, picked out new wheels for it. And then I took it to Atchison, Kansas, and they took it and had it baking soda blasted. When I turn on the air conditioner, sometimes still baking soda comes out. But they got it blasted down to bare metal, and there was no body putty in it whatsoever. It originally had the big chrome strips all the way around it, and I had taken that off before I took it up to them. Scott Willis, he was a member of our club, worked at a car dealership up in Atchison. So I just wanted them just to paint it blue. So they did a great job, got it painted the color that I picked out, and then I brought it back down to Kansas City, and I got a hold of Tiny Signs, and he was in a pinstriper and painter and a vanner from back in the 70s, and he said he wasn't doing that kind of stuff anymore, but he said there was a new guy in town a kid named Scott Thomas. And it was ironic that he was working for a motorcycle shop, and I knew the owner of the motorcycle shop, and I'd coached his kid in football and baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So he said he had 4 artists that was working there painting. That's how much they were doing. They were real busy. So he said that he would give me the shop time for free, and all the guys could do it on their lunch, after work, or before work. So each artist took a portion of the van. Scott was the leader of the pack. They just kind of did, you know, I kind of told them what I wanted. I brought them a cover of the DVD of the movie, The Pirates of the Caribbean. And I said, I want the name changed to Pirates of the Caravan. And didn't want no trouble with Walt Disney.
Right, right.
You know, they all took their certain sections. John Nichols did the passenger side. Jason did the hood, and Scott did the driver's side. And then Scott, and I can't remember the other guy's name, he signed his name as Z. They had it for 8 months. First time I brought it out, I believe, was at the 2008 Van Nationals in Altamont, and I was the co-host of that Nationals, so I wasn't going to show it, so I just brought it there. Everybody said, don't bring it out until you're ready to show it. I said, no, I want to bring it out, so brought it out, and I just set it out in the field so people could see it.
Right.
Wasn't in competition.
So what was the first Van Nationals that you actually did show it?
It was in Pennsylvania. It's on that board over there.
Okay.
And I won Best of Show there, won my class, came home with a lot of awards. The second Van Nationals that I won Best of Show was in Ohio. Mm-hmm. And once you've won 2 Best of Shows, you no longer can compete for Best of Show at the Van Nationals. You can still compete. You can win your class, you can win best paint, best interior, stuff like that, best motor, whatever. At that Nationals, I had a new motor put in because the old 460 that was in here, even though it didn't have a lot of miles, it was just from setting, and its best friends were gas stations. And I was starting to get oil in the antifreeze, so I talked to my friend at Kansas Battery, and he said a lot of these street rodders were putting these LS motors in street rods, and I said, and let's do it. That took some time, and they put it in there, and it runs great.
Good.
No regrets.
It's like when you see the engine and even the underneath, the detail on this van is so crazy. It's like even the engine is beautiful, and there's pinstriping under the hood and under the van. When
I had the van down there putting the engine in it, Scott and 2 other pinstripers come down, and they had it up on a lift. And I said, just go to town. So, and then when we were doing stuff, the motor, and I took the gas tanks out, had them all painted, the drive shafts painted. When I put the new motor in, the transmissions painted the same color of blue as the van. The running boards are done in oak wood, which they take a beating going down the road. So I'd already redone them once, so I was redoing them again. And I said, well, I'm going to try to put something underneath the running board. So I put this copper patina underneath there, and then put a lot of clear over the top of it, and so that helps protect the running board.
How long have you been involved in the vanning world, and how did you get started?
Well, in 1974, my wife and I, Becky, we both graduated from high school, and shortly after that we got married. In July of that year, we seen all these vans running around Kansas City. Well, the second Van Nationals was held in Bonner Springs, Kansas. And we were always kind of going, when we were dating, going to car shows and stuff, and we'd see the vans at the car shows, you know, and we liked to camp. We started looking for a van shortly after that, and we bought a 71 Chevy van, and later painted it like Knights in white satin because we both like that song by
Okay.
the Moody Blues. And, you know, that paint job kind of wore out after a while, so then I'd gotten into the vans so much that I said, well, I'm going to try to make my own flares. Never welded in my life, so I built the flares all the way around it, did the body work on it, and had steel flares, steel running boards. And I had a motorcycle, and I sold it to help pay for the paint job. And I had a friend of mine named Joe Burns, and he painted it, and we named it Rocky.
Okay.
And they were real close to putting it into the second Rocky movie. I talked to Irwin Winkler, the producer. We were within a month of probably taking it out to California, and he called me back and said that they had decided to go with the motorcycle that had the Italian stallion on the side of the motorcycle. And the day I sold the Rocky van, my wife and 2 kids sit out in the front yard and cried.
Aww.
But it was, it was time for a change. The whole underneath carriage of it was chrome. I raised bird dogs, and the guy that hunted with me often says, hey, I got this buddy who wants to go hunting with us. And I said, well, as long as he's safe. And so he went hunting with us, and he said, I want 2 of your dogs if you ever breed your dogs. He goes, I own a chrome shop. I'll trade you anything you want chromed for 2 of your dogs.
Okay.
And I said, deal. So I took everything off the underneath. Drive shaft, leaf spring, everything I could. When we were all done putting it back together, I had a whole box full of boats. I don't know where they went, but they were chrome. So, but I sold it to a kid. Actually, his mom and dad owned a bar called Rocky's, and he was named Rocky. And I sold it to him, and unfortunately, he totaled it out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, driving when he shouldn't have been, and totaled it out. So the Rocky is no longer. So we've had probably 15 vans.
Okay.
Over the years, and this one I won't sell. I learned my lesson once. So I'm going to keep this one around. Even if I'm the only one that likes looking at it when I get old.
Oh my gosh, she's beautiful.
But every year I try to do something different, add a little more to it, so it's not the same.
That was one of the things that surprised me. So I saw this van at Spring Fever, and when you look at it, you think, how could you possibly find anything else to do to it? But you did.
Yeah.
Between Spring Fever and the Gnats, you
I
added.
worked out here a lot. I had repainted the undercarriage, and this time I didn't have a lift, so I was crawling on my back.
Oh my gosh.
I had it jacked up in the air. I painted the little dots around the wheels, all blue, the same color as the van. Cleaned up the undercarriage and put some more lights, Also this winter, the wood headlights, they take a beating going down the road. And every year I was having to either rebuild them or, sand them down and refinish them. So I talked to Keith Weiss of 3 Trails Vans, another van club here in Kansas City, and he made me these brackets to go around, and then I sent them off to St. Louis and had them chromed. My wife and I, we started Vantasia Vans in 1975. I worked at the utility company till I retired, and there was a couple guys down there that had vans, and they belonged to Van Zam, who put on the second Van Nationals. They're a big club. You'd go to a meeting and there would be 200 vans.
Right.
So we went to a couple meetings, and they were too big of a club. So we decided, 4 or 5 of us start our own club. In our bylaws, we say we can't have over 25 vans. We don't want to get too big.
Got it.
Now, right now, as I get older, I wish we were bigger.
Got it.
So I'd have more help. But
So Don, if someone, like I was out there just doing my own thing in my van, and I guess I, maybe posted a couple of pictures in your Facebook group. Like, I don't really know exactly how you and I connected, But you reached out to me and said, you know, you should bring your van and come to Spring Fever. And since it was in Bevier, Missouri, I felt like that was an omen, like I should go do this. And I feel like that decision to come and be a part of your event kind of redirected my life in a way, you know, because now I went to Van Nationals and I already signed up for next year. And so if someone's out there, you know, like me, you know, in their van, just kind of doing their own thing, what advice would you give them? Or
Well, if they're on the internet or Facebook or social media, Instagram, there's so many different sites now, and I'm on all of them.
yeah,
My wife and I say who's on Facebook the most. She says I am. So, but
well, I'm glad you are.
yeah. So I have found a lot of people, and this year at Spring Fever, I think we had 10 or 12 vans there that it was their first time to ever come into a van in.
Right.
So you got to reach out to people. You know, some will think you're crazy, you know, but then there's that one they'll say, well, let's give it a chance, like
Right.
yourself.
Right.
And I think, you know, you are a perfect fit for vanning. You're the best thing that's come along since spread butter. Because
Thank you, Dawn.
I mean, everybody loves you and loves your videos and your pictures that you take, and it's you really fit in.
Yeah, it was a good mesh for me between van life meets vanner life.
Right.
Vanner life feels a little bit more like custom vans, but at the same time, when I go to these van shows, like at the Nats, there was everything from rusted out old minivans to your van and
Yeah.
everything in between.
Yep. It's just like people's jobs and where you come from, all walks of life.
All walks of life.
And one common goal that everybody has is the van. For
It-
many years, we slept in our van. And then when we had kids, we even slept in the Rocky van with 2 kids.
Yeah.
Had a playpen in there, and you know, and as they grew, then we started getting into pulling a pop-up camper, and a lot of vanners have revolved, you know, to pulling big campers.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make a difference, you know, as long as you got a van.
Yeah.
The van is the #1 thing. That's what we all have in common.
One of the things that I noticed is if, you know, you walk up to someone, all you have to say is tell me about your rig. And there's, you know, a 30-minute to an hour conversation just right off the bat.
Absolutely. I hadn't showed the Pirate at the Nationals since the Florida Nationals, which would have been 4 or 5 years ago. And I'd taken my other van, and so I wanted to really show it this year because I'd worked hard on it, and with the pandemic and stuff, you know, I'm out here in the garage, ain't nothing else to do. This year I showed it, and I really enjoyed people coming up and asking me questions about it. There was a lot of people that had never seen it, which surprises me because it's been done for 15 years.
Yep.
So, and the paint has really held up, which is, it's kind of remarkable. I've never won a paint award with it. And my painter, every year after the
That
Nationals,
shocks me.
he asked me, he goes, well, did you win anything for paint this year? And I hate to tell him, but I said, no. I've won interior awards, I've won best of show, I've won best overall, I've won my class, but nothing, never for the paint, which it does surprise me because it has held up really good considering, you know, I drove it, you know, I've actually, it's been to Canada, I went to Van Fest, I won best of show up there. So, you know, which I can't win here in the United States anymore.
Right, right. I want to back up just a little bit. Like, one of the things that you and I talked about yesterday was a notice that I had, like, at the Nats. It's like there are people there from all walks of life, and maybe people that you normally wouldn't socialize with in your everyday life. But at the Nationals, it's like everyone's talking to everyone.
Oh,
and
yeah.
There's a spirit of just happiness and community,
Yeah.
and in a way it makes me wish like the rest of the world were more like people are at the Nats all
Amen.
the time.
Amen. You know, in all the years I've been vanning since '75, I've only seen a couple issues with people, and most of the time it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband and wife argument.
Yeah.
But for the biggest part, everybody gets along. You know?
That's what I noticed too.
Yeah. You know, it's like I say, we're all there about the van. You're there to have a good time. You know, if you have a big van in, usually maybe sometimes less than 1/3 of the vans will show.
Right.
Well, that means 2/3 are there for another reason, not to show.
Right.
They're there to have a good time, which everybody's there to have a good time, but to just the camaraderie
Exactly.
amongst each other. You know, the live music, the bands, a DJ, some form of entertainment. You know, we've had, you know, van ins, and every van in's a little bit different.
One of the things that I appreciated seeing at the Nats is seeing the kids like off of their electronics and out like running around and riding their bicycles and just like being outside and being kids. One of the words that I keep hearing over and over in the vanning community is family.
Oh yeah.
Like
it's like your second family. You know, recently I lost both my parents, and I don't know if I could have made it without the Vanning family. I mean, they were there behind me, and it happened a week and a half before our event, and I wasn't even sure if I even wanted to go, but everybody said, you need to go. We got your back. So.
Yeah. Well, Don, thank you for sharing your family with me.
Oh yeah. Yep. And like I say, I found out you were coming through Kansas City. I said, well, just stop by and on your way, and you always got electricity, hook up water for vanners, so you'd be surprised how many people stop and stay here a night or two and then head on to where their next destination is.
Yeah, I call it mooch stocking. It's my favorite way to camp.
Yep, so vanners are always welcome here.
Thank you, Don.
Yep.
So Donnie, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful van with me and for
problem.
welcoming me to your vanning family.
Hey, you're part of it now.
I am.
For sure.
All right, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. You keep watching and I'll keep posting content.